But interestingly, capital punishment is a striking illustration of where the political class, and I include judges and lawyers here as well, is ahead of the community. It's in sharp contrast to the situation, say, with climate change and euthanasia, where public opinion is well in advance of the political class. The Melbourne Herald-Sun polled Victorian state MPs in October 2001. Now, note the date, October 2001, and asked if they would support the restoration of the death penalty for acts of terrorism. More than 90% of the respondents said no, and most of the remainder declined to give an opinion. So it wasn't as if it was just 90-10. Not a single minister or shadow minister supported a return to the death penalty, even for acts of terror. In the Western democratic world, execution remains as an illustration of American exceptionalism. The leading campaigner against the death penalty in the US Senate, Russell Feinberg, soon dropped out of the 2008 race, and none of the leading candidates has uttered a squeak on the subject. But I suspect the worst. And strikingly, and of course it reinforces what's been said earlier on, of all the executions in the United States since 1977, over 1,000 of them, 88% occurred in only 12 states, 9 of them in the old Confederacy, with its history of slavery, lynch law, strong gun culture, and fervent religious fundamentalism, 2 in states which bordered the Confederacy, and with Arizona in 12th position. Texas, of course, ranked first with 354 executions. In other words, a third of the entire total of executions in the United States since 1977. 17 states, all the north, had no executions at all. So to reinforce what Michael Kirby was saying in his eloquent remarks, we've got to be careful not to be hypocritical when we insist on one rule of law for nationals of our own country, and on the other hand say, but the general issue of the death penalty, the general issue of retributive justice, is really beyond us. The death penalty is the cause, I think, for which I've had the longest intellectual commitment ever since childhood. So it's really getting on towards my 7th decade of involvement, one way or another. And I'd like to think that the obvious model set by the European states might be adopted, perhaps after the change of government, after the new president was elected in 2008. There may be some slight shift in emphasis on the attitude of the United States, although I wouldn't be absolutely counting on it. But thank you for recognising people who have devoted so much professionally to the work of ridding the world of the death penalty. And the tributes paid, as before the certificates were handed out, paid an eloquent tribute to people who've, in many cases, suffered professionally, probably, for the nature of their commitment. It has been a very sensitive cause. I like to think that in terms, as I say, within the political process, there's no doubt there's overwhelming support for abolition, and I'd like to think that in the community as a whole, there's a shifting mood of sympathy for support for the cause of abolition. It's certainly a cause that we can work on. I'm pleased that with the Rudd government is taking the issue very seriously, certainly where the Bali Nine are concerned, and I think Australia will be seen as one of the international leaders in this area. Thank you all for the moral support that you've offered those of us who are the honorees tonight. Thank you for your friendship and support, which has meant so much in what has often been a very difficult and a very painful course to have to follow. Thank you very much.